That worked. Alright guys, I got here a Steyr Scout. This is probably Steyr's second most popular rifle they sell. This is, of course, everybody kind of already know this, but this is designed, sort of pioneered by Jeff Cooper. If you don't know who that is, he's on Wikipedia, you can look that up, but this specific one is the special edition Jeff Cooper model. This is in a pretty attractive to me civilian blue or blue gray or gray stock. This is as shown pretty much clone correct in Counter-Strike 1.6, and I think this is clone correct in Counter-Strike Source as well. So-called little snipe in certain countries. The big snipe is, of course, the Accuracy International OP, AWP, or OP. OP isn't really a model, actual model in real life, but that's what it's called in the game. This one does shoot, this particular one does shoot 308. Being a very lightweight rifle, the recoil is kind of rough on me, so I have a rubber pad here, aftermarket rubber pad, to absorb that recoil. I did an accuracy on this, surprisingly accurate accuracy study video on this with Federal FGMM, Federal Gold Medal Match, 168 grain, Sierra Match King bullet. That particular type of ammo shoots MOA out of this rifle. And they have another, Federal has another version, also 168 grain, open tip match. They call it Center Strike. I think it's their own bullet. That one shoots really well in this rifle as well. I think I'm jumping ahead too much. Let's go back to the rifle itself. The Scout rifle, it's pretty neat because it's one of the more popular design that features a Scout scope, which is an intermediate. I mean, some people do say long eye relief, but Leupold themselves, the manufacturer of this particular scope, Leupold, they do call it intermediate eye relief scope. It's this particular one. This is a factory configuration as sold by Steyr back in late or mid 90s. The scope is a 2.5 times magnification intermediate eye relief scope. It's usable, but I do have a pretty big gripe on this particular one, being that the crosshair is very thick. It's a simple crosshair, and the thickness of the line, the stadia line, the center crosshair, it looks to be about 3 MOA for both horizontal and vertical. So that blocks a lot of my view on where to hold, especially for paper punching, target shooting, to study the accuracy. As mentioned, I was able to squeeze out MOA, 10-round groups out of this. Maybe I had a flyer, but I blame that on the scope because it is difficult to see the center of that the paper target I was shooting at. So, but it's an interesting concept, and it's practical. It's kind of like a red dot with magnification. Since the scope is so far forward, your field of view is not you're not tunnel visioned inside into your scope. It's only maybe 10% of your field of view instead of the normal LPVO or any other scope being so close to your face, where the ocular lens, it's taken, maybe it's 60% of your field of view. So this one being far forward, it's only 10%. So you have a better peripheral view, situational awareness when you're hunting or whatever. So I do like it. If I have to choose one, I would prefer a classic one that's closer to my face. Just kind of, I'm used to that, and I think with LPVO, especially nowadays, when you can crank down to 1x, that it's pretty much a red dot. So there's not much need to push the scope so far forward. But it is a neat design. It is an interesting design to play with. I enjoy different designs, if you haven't noticed from my other videos on my channel. So I do enjoy shooting this one. Okay, and going back to let's go from front to the butt. The fluted barrel, I think this is a 19-inch fluted at the front, and I believe this is fluted down inside the receiver as well. Accurate barrel, very light profile. During my accuracy test, it doesn't look like it's going to shift much. The accuracy is still, good throughout the, I've tried to slow down on the rate of fire during accuracy test, but you shouldn't expect too much from this, although it can keep up with your needs after 20-30 rounds. There should be no problem. Point of impact never really shifted, and I can't really say the accuracy itself, the potential changed at all. So accuracy and precision should be good to go there. So going back, the handguard or the stock, it's a pretty neat looking one. All plastic, of course. All plastic. And we have integrated bipod here. That's part of the handguard. There's a button you can press down here, and to fold it back, you just pull back and you'll fold out of the way. It does pivot a little bit. Let me show you. So it does pivot side to side a little bit, like so. For hunting, it's probably quite useful. I like it. The shape of it, the front of the handguard, or the stock, it has a flat bottom, so you can rest it on, say, like a shooting platform or table. It's very comfortable to hold as well. It's the black pieces on both sides has a kind of a ledge for it's like a finger groove almost, so you can hold down to your forearm, handguard better. And of course there's a accessory rail. You can put your bipod and whatnot down there. And these little circular discs, that's for your quick detach sling loops. On the magazine, it's a pretty interesting design. It's a 5-rounder. The factory will be 5 rounds for all the rifles. And of course, you can buy a 10-round magazine adapter. You can see sort of a indentation here. That's where the magazine well will fit into, and then you can buy a separate 10-round magazine. On the Scout magazine, you can see that is the first click where you can not feed from the magazine. You have to push it up to feed the next round. And of course, we have some 308 in here. Let's shoot some rounds through this. And on the Steyr Scout design, you have another magazine in the buttstock right here. So it's the same release design. Just squeeze the two sides of the magazine to pop it out, and then put the empty one in here. So might as well finish it. Empty. I do want to make a kind of a comment on this type of design. I don't really know for sure if the first position is just for safe storage. For say if you're a hunter, maybe you want to single load. That's kind of the most common repeated information I heard. I don't know if it's designed for that, because as you probably have seen in this video, you'll see me struggle with single feeding. In this position right here, of course, as mentioned, you cannot feed from the magazine. As I was single feeding, just standalone rounds in dropping it from here, the ejection port, it has a tendency to nosedive down and hit the mouth of the chamber, which is a flat face. So the tip of the bullet will just get stuck there. So I do have to be mindful of how I'm dropping down the round itself to make it sit flat, and then to sit flat on the magazine feed lip, or the next upcoming the top round from the magazine. I have to make sure the one I'm feeding in, it stays flat. If it tilts just a little bit, if I close it like so, it will just get stuck in that position. The single lead isn't that efficient, apparently. I'm having a hard time single loading. Might as well just load it from the magazine. So, long story short, even though it might be designed for a single feed situation, I kind of don't recommend using this because it's so easy to jam it up. If you're a hunter, if you really need to get that shot quick, you might as well just pop that magazine in, right, and then load it from there. Don't waste your time, trying to find the next round in single feed. For maybe there's a situation for that, but in my opinion, this is kind of a design feature that should not be used. Anyways, enough about the magazine. Let's talk about the receiver. The receiver, it's kind of interesting. You might notice already, but I'll go ahead and call it out. This is a pretty long receiver. It covers most of the barrel, most of the 19-inch barrel. It's aluminum construction. Of course, the barrel is how it's secured. It's similar to an AR. It doesn't, the bolt lugs, it's locking into the barrel extension instead of the receiver itself. That's why the receiver can be made out of aluminum. It's a very long piece from here to end of here, but I want you to see this. You can probably tell the receiver, it's monolithic from the rear here out to, I think you can see this line here to right here, and then that is another extension piece to the receiver. These two are aluminum, and then finally you have this front cap here that completes the receiver at the front. This one is polymer. You might be able to tell the sort of a sheen difference. This one here, it's more plastic one is sort of more textured than over here. So it's a receiver in 3 pieces. Why was it designed this way? My best guess would be, at least for the metal part, it's easier to machine. Instead of one long piece, you can break it down to segments, easier to machine. If you screw up on the machining, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's easier to salvage. You know, if you screw it up towards the very end somehow, you don't have to trash the entire piece. And of course, the front here, more than likely, is because the backup iron sight, the front sight is right here. There's a slider. You just push it back, and it's being blocked by the scope right now. But once you pull this slider forward, the front backup sight will just pop up. It's just a front sight post. There's no protection. And here is the rear sight. It's a peep sight, very small peep sight and fairly fragile. It is all polymer. So this is definitely something you don't want to treat as a primary. And at least if it is your primary, just fold it down. As you can probably see that there, this is adjustable for elevation, and the front sight is adjustable for windage. So that's enough on the receiver. Okay, let's talk about the bolt. The bolt on this particular version, Jeff Cooper Special Edition, the bolt handle will be a spoon. I think it's called a spoon bolt handle. It's not a knob, and it is fairly low profile, like so. Very thin, but I have no problem with this. It's still plenty usable. The action is very smooth, and on this particular version, the bolt body is in the white. I'm not sure if the material is stainless or not, but no rust on this particular rifle, so I assume this is a stainless material on the bolt body. On the bolt body, you'll see a lot of grooves here and lightning cuts at the bottom. This is a pretty nice feature during wintertime, or maybe for if you're hunting in the desert. These grooves can help help with reliability of function. And on the rear of the bolt here, the cocking piece area, you can sort of see there's the firing pin protruding from the back. So this is sort of a visual indicator that the rifle is cocked and ready to fire. And let's do that right now. We have 5 rounds loaded in the magazine. I have 5 more in the stock. So load it up. Let's talk about the trigger. The trigger, it's in the white as well. I believe this particular one is nickel plated or perhaps stainless, so there's no issue with rust. It's a very clean and light trigger. I believe this is 3.5 pounds. Let me flip to the other side so you can see. Very clean. So that's the take up on the first stage, and the second stage, that's the wall, and here's the brake. Oh, sorry, it's unsafe. The wall and the brake, like that. So there's pretty much no over travel. Let's do that again. First stage, that's the take up, the wall, 3.5 pounds, and then it brakes. Very crisp trigger. No complaints at all. The single lead isn't that efficient, apparently. I'm having a hard time single loading. Might as well just load it from the magazine. let's talk about the safety here. Fire is safe. It's a wheel type safety. This is fire, and you rotate back. This is safe, where the trigger cannot be pulled. And there's a secondary complete super safety in a way, which locks. The trigger is dead, and the bolt handle, you cannot operate the bolt. And in this safety, the super safety position, you can actually push in on the bolt to make it even more low profile, like so. So during travel or you're in storage, it's easier not to bump into anything, to maybe it's easier on your body, perhaps. You don't bump into things with this protruding bolt handle. And after you're ready, there's a button you can press it down, push it forward, and as you can see, the bolt handle comes back up. Let's do that again. Let's turn this down. Super safe, push the main button in, rotate forward to release the bolt again. But at this point, it's not loaded, so. And you'll be ready to shoot if you have ammo in the magazine. Pretty good shooting rifle. Good trigger. The bolt action, the travel is very smooth. very well machined bolt. Let's go back to the buttstock area. Let's talk about the grip first. The grip, it is kind of thin. You might be able to tell. It is very thin. And there's a sort of a indentation here for your palm to sit. So it is comfortable. I can sort of see this being kind of uncomfortable for bigger hands, meaty paw guys. Or, I mean, it's probably designed for winter gloves and whatnot, but no complaints so far. These are just decorative pieces, these black kind of plaque, I guess, decoration. And of course, the buttstock storage, the additional 5-round magazine. It does take 10 rounds in here as well. The cavity is deep enough for that. But I've seen videos, I've seen another video of a 10-rounder being kind of, I guess, too heavy, where these type of locking catches on the magazine does not want to keep them inside the buttstock. So upon firing the gun, the recoil will slowly, I guess, shake it loose, and the magazine, the 10-round magazine, loaded 10-round magazine, will just fall out. So kind of a design oversight, I suppose. And take off the rubber pad. We have a adjustable length of pull buttstock where you can stack more pieces, the spacers here, to make the length of pull longer or shorter. This is how I have it right now. With the additional rubber pad I purchased, this length of pull right now is good enough for me. How I kind of decide where to have the length of pull is I don't want it too long because it makes it harder to swing the rifle. It's comfortable enough for me, and there's enough room for me to move the bolt back without touching my cheek.